What's going on, guys? Bowman's here.
Steve?
We are actually in the mobile studio. This here beautiful motorhome just got a nice little upgrade for Steve here. Now, did put on some Bilstein B6 HD shocks on this. They're monotube line designed for these larger vehicles. Admittedly, the shocks that were on here might have just been starting to show a little bit of wear, but we're still good. Obviously an upgrade. What was your thoughts and your reason for upgrading the shocks?
Well, we got a big trip coming up. I thought, now's the time probably to do this. Bilstein makes two sets of shocks for this. They make a comfort level and a standard level. We went with the standard, which is not the normal usual, but we did it because I tow with this, and I tow with this a lot. We tow a big flatbed trailer with the off-road truck behind it sometimes, and we want to make sure that we've got some good stability there on those, crosswinds and things like that you're going through across the country. So
yeah, and so maybe, and you briefed on it, you went over it briefly, but kind of take us through the differences maybe that you might see between the comfort line, the RV spec, and the standard line, the box truck spec.
Yeah, so the standard is going to be just your generic shock, or they're kind of their heavier duty version. It's still a monotube shock that's going to give you, a good stability, like as you're going, like I said, through crosswinds and things like that. Versus their comfort line is made for comfort, and it's probably better off for a little smaller of RV. This is a very large one. This is a 30-foot motorhome. But maybe if you've got, say, like a 23-foot or even just maybe a B-class, RV. That's probably your direction you want to go, is towards the comfort line.
I'm sure a lot of people do tow with their RVs, but a lot of people don't. And, I think the biggest thing a lot of people run into is their RV sways a lot and their nice China's flying around. And then they hit a bump and their nice China's flying around again. So yeah. I think we're hoping this strikes a nice balance for you. Give us an idea of how you're going to be testing them over the next few months, because you do, like you said, you got a big trip coming.
Yeah, like I said, we got a big trip going. We're going all the way. We're in Los Angeles. We're going all the way to the East Coast. We're going to go touch that Atlantic Ocean. We're going to go say hello to those fish out there, and then we're going to head all the way back through the Rockies, even actually coming back. So it's going to be a test for them for sure. Between towing that trailer, going all the way there and back, it's a long trip. And we're going to see what happens here.
Steve will be right back to tell you about how they do.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're back after a little bit of time and a lot of miles. This, as we said, went on a big, long road trip, had a Ranger in tow. How'd it feel?
Well, I'll tell you, we learned some things. First of all, some of the roads out here in the U.S., they just suck. But it gave us a great advantage to learn some things. So the biggest thing we learned was stability. It's just so much more predictable. Be able to go from things falling all over driving normally, sway, hitting bumps and really being shocked versus smoothed out. It still feels the bumps, but it's manageable. It's very manageable.
I'm sure it was probably more comfortable and stable, but it's already something pretty heavy. And you had something heavy behind it. Did it feel better towing as well?
Oh yeah, towing was a big difference as well. Much more stable. Never even noticed, honestly, the truck behind us, really, for the most part. Thank God there's a camera that I can look back. But
because I know it used to struggle with at least the Explorer behind it, which is Ranger's lighter. But
yeah, it is.
Now it's doing a lot better. And so we went with the standard RV comfort for the front, but you went with the actual B6 HD. It's often used for box trucks, more traditional Econolines. Do you think that was a big factor in the stability?
I think it helped a lot, and I think it would be interesting to see what the comfort would be on a smaller rig. I think on this, because it's so heavy, this is probably 12,000 pounds or something like that or more, fully loaded without anything behind it. So I think it really needed it for that, but a smaller RV, you could probably like a 24-foot or you had a Class B or something like that. I think you could definitely get away with those comfort ones for sure. Maybe if you're not towing, you could probably get away with it. So.
Well, and I think it's a big deal that Bilstein actually makes shocks that are specifically for motorhomes and RVs
Yes.
or heavy-duty applications.
Yes.
You could have a regular 4600 for your regular Econoline van, but if you have an RV, there is a,
There's an option.
there's an option, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think an RV really does need a very specifically tuned shock, because it's not only heavy, but it can't ride like garbage.
Well, and that's the thing. From the factory shocks are meant to ride plush and soft, and because of that, it's very floaty.
Yeah.
And yes, you get a floaty, cushiony ride-ish, but it's too much. It's with this much weight, you get a lot of sway, you get a lot of bouncing, you get a lot of things flying around everywhere, and this just makes it all manageable.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. Well, and this has twin I-beams in the front, which we both love, but also know there's a lot of camber and toe change with that suspension. Did you notice with something that is more locked down on the front suspension, did you notice less working at the wheel to keep it on the road?
Yeah, I think I need to do an alignment after it. That was one thing I didn't do. I will recommend that. It's much more stable just driving in a straight line, or even, going around some of the curves.
And that's kind of also the benefit of a digressive shock. Yes, might be a little bit firmer at lower speeds, but offer a lot more stability and will bleed off with speed. And sometimes that also means you might get away with a little less spring rate. So, maybe not on this application because it was towing something and it is pretty big, but on your lighter RVs, if you've been considering something like adding airbags or additional spring, I think they might allow you to get away from having to do that right away. They're not going to make it sit any higher or sag less, but I think the additional low speed control might help you save yourself on spring rate and have a better ride overall.
I agree.
If you have an RV too, whether it be Chevy, Freightliner, or a Ford Econoline based or F53, Bilstein has a great shock for you, and we got you covered.